Hi, I'm Cappy from Always in Stitches, and I'm coming today to see you about a project that I've made before, and we recently got these back in the store. So when they came in, some of the people on staff were like, how in the world can you do this? So I'll show you what I've done to learn how to do it, and it's actually, I enjoy it. It's very tiny and it seems a little tedious, but I can tell you it is so much fun. And it's called Peyote, and it's a beading process. So you can see my little teeny tiny beads, and they are teeny tiny, and there's a little thread with a needle going through here. And when I'm done, I end up with this really cute finished project, which is this, which is not to scale. That's actually bigger than what it's going to be when it's done. But it's a little rooster. We've got several. We've got a bunny. We've got, I don't know, several, 4 or 5 of the different little things in here, but they're ready for you to try and make. But I wanted to show you the beading process. First of all, this comes with really good directions, and that's what is important. They give you a nice diagram here that shows you how to thread things. They give you, if you're like a chart person and you like to read things, they give you a way to read how to do the beading. They give you a nice picture on how to do the beading. And I'm kind of a picture gal, so for me, the picture works. I like to look at the picture and just mark off which row I'm on. So that's what I've been doing as I do this. Some of the tools that I needed, I actually went to the Dollar Tree and bought this handy dandy little container to separate my beads in, because they come in these little Ziploc bags, but I'm not a big Ziploc gal. I'm not thrilled with those. I love that this container keeps them all sorted for me, and these little labels that are on here were actually on the outside of the bags. So I just took them off the bag and put them right on top of the bead when I put the bead in the little container. Now, these are like, these make seed beads look huge. Just if you're familiar with seed beads, these make seed beads look ginormous. So they're really tiny. The other thing I bought is this called a little, it's like a, remember those little sticky hands you used to throw on the wall and they'd roll down the wall? It's kind of, it's like, it's just sticky. It's called a bead along, and it's got an adhesive quality to it that I can lay my beads on, and now they're not going to, see, they're not going to roll away. They're not going to escape. So that's good, because the way you pick these up, it's a lot easier to do it this way than to just have them like laying around. The other thing I use is a felt, this little felt wool pad, because what I need is something to position this so I can hold it in place and kind of examine where I'm at. So like right now, I'm on this row, and so I can see that's the row I'm on, and I can watch where I'm moving between the beads. When you start the project, they give you very specific instructions about how to put your first row of beads together. And this is real important, because you basically do this 2 rows with this middle row with your to start, and then you add beads going up. So you actually have 2 needles. These come in the kit, and they're teensy tiny needles with teensy tiny little eyes that you have to put the thread through. And the thread is sort of like, I don't know how to show you these needles.
I can see them.
Can you see them? Okay. The thread is sort of like a real fine dental floss. So it's very durable. I don't have any idea what kind of thread it is, because it comes in the kit. You have this bobbin of thread, which would probably do 5,000 of these little bitty things, so you get plenty of thread. And again, that comes with the kit, so that's really nice. As well as all your beads come with the kit. The only thing you really need to add is this little bead along, and I would recommend this, honestly. It's $1 at the Dollar Tree. It's a great little tool. And when you're done, you can put your pills in it, because you might need to take pills by the time you get done with this, depending on your attitude. But that's what sorted my beads. And then there's another bag of beads. These will be the finishing beads, and I'm not even going to get those out till the end, because I won't need those till later. But so I followed the directions exactly, and what it tells me is to use 2 yards of this thread. So 2 yards, here's how I measure 2 yards.
Nancy. Go ahead.
From the nose to the tip of my finger is about 1 yard. So that's just a standard distance.
Can you bring the sample off the floor of that?
Yeah, we'll get you the sample. That's true. Hello, that would be a good idea for the video. So from the tip of my nose to the tip of my finger is a yard. It's basically about 36 inches. That's pretty standard for most people. Peter's a little taller, a little longer. I'm guessing his reach is a little bit longer than a yard from his nose to his hand. But me, because I've not exactly got real long arms, is about a yard. So when I want to measure off a yard, I know I can put, that's a yard, just about. Another little trick, from the tip of my finger to my knuckle is about an inch. And that's true for most people too. So I've kind of got this walking measurement that I can use no matter where I'm at. So when I needed 2 yards of this thread and I'm sitting in my living room just sewing, I just went, what, pulled off 2 yards of thread, and I knew that was about right. That's more than enough to do this project. The problem is if this gets knotted or tangled, you kind of got to start over, which you don't really want to do. I've tried previously when I broke my thread to tie it and hide it, and it just doesn't do a very nice job. So it's real important not to tangle it. So that's why I have these 2 threads and I have them at opposite ends. I've got one on this side and I've got one on this side. And I'm real careful not to let them get tangled. So as I go through this project, what I do is I look for my little bead. And here comes Nancy. She's bringing us the finished one. See, this is what it's going to look like when it's done. So now you can see. See, I'm making his little feet. Actually, that's the back side of it. There you go. We'll flip it over. So he's walking the same way. So I'm looking at the back here. But you can see where the beads go in. And then these we go in, these embellished ones, we'll go in and put those in after the fact. So this is a little key fob. Well, actually, I made 2 of these. I made this one and I made the other one. And this one belonged to Lenine, who owns our store, and she displayed it. I attached mine to my keychain, which was really silly because it melted, basically. It's not real durable in the sense that having it on my car keys and getting it in and out day and day was not a good choice. But I wouldn't hesitate to put it on my keys, or my scissors. I mean, it'd make a nice little fob. These are huge scissors, but on a little pair of scissors, it'd make a nice little fob for your scissors. And we've got it actually just hanging out there almost like an ornament because it's just so stinking pretty. But if chickens aren't your thing, there's other stuff. So anyway, there's what she looks like done. And then this is where we're starting. So you basically go from side to side to side to side. Right now, I can look at this. I'm going to use a pen. And I can tell that I'm right on this bead. Okay, that bead's just a scooch higher. And I don't know if you're going to see this. We're trying real hard. That little bead right there on that end is just a little bit higher. So now, and there's my thread coming out of that. And I'm going to be working this way on my beads, okay, with this needle. So I've already started my rows, and I'm just working my way up. And that's why I need this little bead thing to put my beads on, because my next bead, based on my picture, so now my picture is matching my bird. There's my picture. So I can count the beads. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to count 11 beads over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm right here. And obviously I got ahead of myself because I did some beads. So that's the first bead. The next bead is also a gray one. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick up my gray bead. That's why this little thing is so handy, because they're sitting here. I can just go like that with my needle and pick up that bead. See, it's on the end of my needle. And I run it to the end here. And then I take this, try and do this so you can see it. I take my needle and I go through the next, this bead's going to sit right in there. And I'm going to go in the next bead. Not the second one, but the next one. And I'm going to pull that up. And I'm not going to make a knot with any luck that I don't want. There. And I have to pull this kind of snug. So I'm going to tug on it because that tightens it up, that weave. There we go. And see now this bead here was the one I just put on right here. And it's nested down between these two. So I went through here across into this bead and into that next one. So it makes just a little line, okay? Now I'm going to add the next bead. So I'm going to go up to my row 11, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So I added this bead. My next bead shows green here, which I know on my bead card here is this bead. So I'm going to pick that one up. This is hard to do and show you. I don't want to, okay. And I just slide that down. And then if you look at this, the next bead, so I'm going to see if I can get this to go all the way down. So it goes all the way down, okay? And then I'm going to go through this purple one right here. So I take my needle and I go through that purple one, but not into the next one. I wait. See how it's going through there and coming out? And then that's going to slide that bead right into place. There she goes. And then I'm going to tug that tight, and then what that does is it moves these down. See, that one's down there. See how it's making the pattern? So it's like bricklaying. They're alternating. Now I'm going to bet in the middle of this purple one, I'm ready for another purple one. No. Yeah, I got to figure it out. 3, 1, 2, 3. Yep, so now I'm ready. I'm still in the purples. So I'm going to pick up another purple with my little bead. I'm going to get to the end if I can so you can see how you do the end. All right. So then I'm going to slide in my little purple one. And I'm going into this white bead and back out like that. And then I pull this thread through real gentle like because we do not want it to tangle. And see how it sets in there? It just kind of, each one seats inside the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm 3, 3. I'm still another purple one. So I pick it up on my little bead, my gooey bead thing, and I go back into here, right in that bead, and I come back out. And it's just stringing it along. It's just putting that bead in between the next one, okay? Now I've done my purples. Now I'm back to the gray bead. You can see his wings starting to form. So I'm going to pick up my gray bead. And I think we're gray all the way to the end here. Now, I pulled on this thread, and when I pulled on that, it made my tail move. So I'm going to pull that tail down because you don't want your needle to unthread. You can rethread it. It's just a little, I got old eyes and old fingers, and it's a little cantankerous to do. So now I'm going to put this just like this through that bead. So that's how tiny this needle is. It's going through the eye of that bead, if you can see. It's going through one side and out the other. My other bead that's going to come behind it is still on my thread. And I just pull that through. And there's my bead. So we're going to keep going here because these are going to be gray. Yeah, these are all gray. So I like to use the picture chart. Now, I think when I did, I've done 2 or 3 of these. One time I did use the words where it tells you how many to do of the colors. Let me find that. Here you go. So here it tells you row, which row, how many to use on which row. That confuses me. It's for the same reason I can't use a chart when knitting. I gotta have a visual picture. Charts confuse me. But it's here. You have to work the way that works for you. I do better looking at the picture, but that's just my thing. Okay, so now I'm to the end of a side. And that means I have 2 needles now. Both my needles are ready to kind of make this turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm ready for a gray one. So I put my gray one on. Now I don't have a needle to thread through. I don't have another bead. So this bead's going to sit right there. And I don't have another bead to thread this into. So I just pull this one all the way down on the thread. The string, I started to say. And see, it seats right there on the end, right where it's supposed to go. There's right where she wants to be. And now what was the needle on my left side is now going to become the needle on my right side, which is opposite you. So opposite of what you have. So now I take the other needle that was on the other side and I go back through this needle, or this bead, I mean. So this bead's kind of hanging out on that thread, but I'm going to go back with the opposite side. And now I'm going to use the needle that was on the other side to go the opposite direction. So what that does is it pulls the thread up all the way along. So you have a thread going left and you have a thread going right, and they alternate. So now I'm ready to go back this way. And the thread that I was using when I went this direction, I'm going to pull it tight, and I'm just going to put it right into that felt, and I'm just going to let it sit there. I'm just going to kind of ignore that it's there. And now I'm ready to go the other direction. So this thread's coming out this way, it's going to stay there. And now I'm going to start picking up threads with the other end of the needle. So you just weave back and forth until you get to the top of this. And she has really good directions, shows you how to decrease, because when you get up here, there's a specific pattern you have to do to get this point that's on the end. Because at the top, I want this point, and I want those to seat in correctly. So they give you the directions on how to make that point. And then what I'm going to do, and we can do a follow-up video, because hopefully I'll have this done in a couple days. Then you get to string on, and this shows you here, for all these little dangly pieces, there's your little danglies, it shows you how to dangle them, what order to put them in, and how to thread those, and then you basically just sew those onto this piece in all the little places that it goes. And it gives you a specific place to where to sew those on one of the pictures here. Yeah, on this picture, it shows you which bead to sew these danglies onto so that you get that effect at the end. So this picture gives you your danglies. So it's actually, it's not really hard. It takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of patience. I find it fun because you have to think so hard about what you're doing that it gets my mind off of everything else in the world, which is a really good thing right now. But I strongly recommend the gooey thing here. And okay, so what I do to get, so then the problem is, well, how do you get the beads out of here? This is really not scientific. I just kind of lick my finger and it sticks the beads to my finger like that, and then I can set them on there and they just stick. So I'll just put a little cluster of beads on there, the color that I'm working with at the time. And then at the end of the day when I'm done, I keep the little flippy-do thing that this came with, and I just slide this down in there like that. And then I'm ready the next day. I don't have to, pick those little bitty beads back up and dig around to find them. Oh, here's my cover. See, there's the cover that came with it. Okay. And I just slide this down inside of there. And I put it all in my little Ziploc that the pattern came in. It all fits in this bag. And then the other thing that I do is I take this clip, because I told you it's real important these don't get wound up. I take this clip and I clip my beads just so that they don't, so I've got something to hold on to. So I take that thread, see how I'm laying it on top? I'm trying to put this so you can see. I'm laying those two threads right there, and then I'm clipping them because I don't want to lose my place in my beads. So I leave that there. In a perfect world, we just sit and do this in an afternoon and you don't have to walk away from it, but we know how the world runs. And then I take my two threads with my needles, and I'm real careful, and I put those needles right here in the bag, like that. Wah, wah. So when I put this in there, everybody's staying in place. So this is kind of like, have you ever had a necklace that gets tangled up and you can't get it untangled? I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. And then the cool part is it all fits back in my bag, And because I'm kind of weird, I got to keep the Ziplocs because you never know. And so I stick all that back in there, and this goes back in here with the lids shut. Just ask me how I know. Make sure the lid's shut. And then my miles and miles of thread in case I have to start over. And I just put all that back in there with my little scissors, and I can pack it up. And it's really a nice transportable, because I can take it with me. I could, if I'm sitting and waiting for somebody to get out of something, or if I ever got to fly someplace again, I could work with this on an airplane, and I might be able to not get the scissors in, but at this point you don't really need them as much as you did when you first started. So I could probably get away without the scissors. And I doubt that they're going to make you go through TSA a second time with this needle. It's pretty little, but anyway, that's how we do it. I think it's fun. Everybody thinks I'm a little crazy, but that's kind of like old news. So anyway, thanks for watching. Happy stitching.